everyone, this is Eugene Roddenberry.
Dr. Mohammed Noor.
Adam Nimoy, Leonard Nimoy's son.
This is Leonard Crowfoot.
This is Dr. Aaron McDonald, Star Trek Science Advisor and Lieutenant Commander McDonald on Star Trek Prodigy.
And you're listening to
Humanist Trek.
Humanist Trek.
You're listening to Humanist Trek.
the Humanist Trek Podcast.
And you're listening to Humanist Trek, a fabulous, fabulous show.
Enjoy.
And don't worry, you can do your Temporal Mechanics 101 homework later.
Do you know what this flying drone was made of? This was a potential question for the Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge, and Becca did not ask it, but she asked me later, and she wished she had because I had no idea.
What it was made of?
Yeah, what they used to make this thing. It's made from something else. It's a product you've seen a million times.
Oh, jeez. Oh, good. This would have been a great question.
I know.
I have no idea.
Perhaps I could use this as an excuse to go to those far-off planets with little polka-dotted people if necessary, and be able to talk about love, war, nature, God, sex, all those things that go to make up the excitement of the human condition.
This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Welcome aboard.
Jean-Luc Picard to the Starship Enterprise.
You want to review your rapid progress?
That nonsense is centuries behind us. To the Starship Enterprise.
Oh, yeah?
That is enough, damn it!
Tempo, mon capitan.
To the Starship Enterprise.
But you can't deny that you're still a dangerous, savage child race.
Of the planet Earth.
You just don't get it, do you, Jean-Luc? That is the exploration that awaits you. Not mapping stars and studying nebula, but charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
Jolan True, and welcome to Humanist Trek. It's a comedy Star Trek podcast about the humanism in Star Trek. I'm Sarah Ray.
And I'm Allie Ashmead.
And Allie, answer the communicator.
Hello. We're sorry we can't take your call at this time.
We got some messages to talk about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Warp to Captain. Incoming transmission. It is coded Priority 1.
Put it through, Mr. Wolf.
So the first one comes to us from Stefan. We had a couple of updates. So the first one comes to us from Ensign Stefan from our Patreon. We talked in a recent episode about this radioactive clutter. Mm-hmm. And I took great issue with the term clutter. Stefan, of course, is an expert in this area and says that clutter is a term of art in radar. It refers to objects other than those of interest. If you're looking for planes, clutter would include trees, buildings, birds, etc. Mm-hmm. Interference would also be fine, but would also refer to non-object sources, such as other radar systems, radios, or malfunctioning equipment.
Okay, so it's noise. But is noise the same as clutter, or is noise interference?
Oh man, now you just complicated it even more.
I started to put that in the chat.
I thought I had it figured out, and now you said noise. So the explanation I think I came away with from Stefan is that so like this radioactive clutter or magnetic clutter is if we're running magnetic and radioactive scans and picking up clutter on those scans. And that's probably what Worf was saying. That's what I got out of Stefan.
Yeah.
Noise, I would assume, would be like other radar systems, radios, malfunctioning equipment.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll have a follow-up to the follow-up.
Okay, Stefan. Thank you. Thank you, Stefan.
Thanks, Stefan. The next one comes to us from Lieutenant Commander Anders Hove over on our Patreon. This is a follow-up on the episode Heart of Glory. We talked a lot about Picard being like super obsessed with Geordi vision and Worf's cultural like traditions and shit, right?
Yeah, they were laying it on thick. Yeah.
Anders says, one thing that struck me about Picard's unnecessarily drawn-out gushing about Geordi and Worf is that this dialogue might be geared towards younger kids. Mm-hmm. When I first started watching TNG as a teenager in the 80s, I really felt a lot of content was more targeted at a lower age level, like preteen, as compared to TOS, which annoyed me enough that I didn't initially get into TNG. You had all the plots around Wesley, the simplistic morality lessons about drugs, and more exposition of key points than necessary. Even the name, The Next Generation, seemed to be bashing us over the head with the concept that this was content aimed at a new and specifically younger generation. Glad they got over that by season 3.
Yep.
Hope you were doing well. Thanks for another great episode. Thanks, Anders.
Thanks, Anders. And yeah, he does have a point. Now that I think about it, you mentioned after school specials all the time.
Yes.
And some of those, and especially the ones with Wesley.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. The final message we have comes to us from Zach, who's new on our Discord.
Welcome, Zach.
Zach says, it was nice meeting you guys at the little convention in Nebraska. Yeah.
Yay.
I was so antisocial and sleepy that day, I just saw shirts with Trek on it and knew I had to have one.
I love it.
I'd never listened to any podcast before, but I've just finished up your episode of The Cage. It was great. It's like watching it all over again.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, hang in there, Zach.
We broke your podcast cherry.
Woohoo.
You're no longer a podcast version. You're welcome.
Well, hang in there, Zach. It does get better. We were, kind of rusty starting out and finding our feet, but it gets way better.
I'd be afraid to go back and listen to that first episode now.
Oh, it'd be fine.
You think?
We'd be like, oh, it'd be a lot of eye rolls.
Yeah, right?
Like, oh, God, Sarah. Oh, God. Why did you do that? But yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for writing in. Don't forget, you can call and leave messages for us, too. That's 920-550-TREK. Or you can send us emails and leave messages on Discord. Anything you send to us can and may be used on live shows. So
can and may be used against you.
Okay, so I have a life update for you, Allie.
Okay.
It's not great news.
Oh no.
But we are going to have to move. We've decided this where we're at. We've been behind on our mortgage. We talked to the mortgage company. They are in the process now of running the scenario where they restructure our mortgage and maybe, hopefully, we get our payments lowered, but it would have to lower by a lot. So
yeah,
we don't think that that's going to save us.
Mm-hmm.
So we started, we had a rummage sale yesterday and we're starting to get rid of shit and really downsize because we're going to have to, get into a much smaller house. And we're thinking about maybe renting for a few years just to get the kids through school and then move again and buy, because then we have to stay in the district, so that their kids stay the school and whatever.
Yeah, I'm renting maybe better. I mean, there's a lot of less stuff for you to have to worry about and take care of and pay for if you rent. Downside is they may jack the rent up. So but you might find a good deal. So
yeah. So we're going around the house thinking okay, what comes with this? What doesn't? I'm a little disappointed that this is the second time that I've planted new trees. Very excitedly, picked out the trees I want. I planted a tree in Florida before we moved out here. Planted 2 trees here that I'm just dying to see full grown, and I'm not going to get to be here for that.
Well, you can drive by your house. When you sell
right.
it.
That's what I thought about Florida too, but we left. I'm not driving by that house no more.
Well, you're going to be here. You're not leaving. You can't leave.
No,
Colorado.
I can't leave now. I'm not going to have my garden, especially if we rent somewhere.
They might have a garden. You don't know.
Yeah, probably not. But so then you think about all the things that we have to do and the listing and all of that. And so the exclusions to the listing, particularly as people walk through and look around at all your shit.
Mm-hmm.
One specific item that I just this morning thought, no, those are coming with us. And that's all of our blink cameras all around the house. We've got one above the garage and one out on the side. That's
understood that is an option. You don't have to leave that.
No.
Yeah.
But you have to explicitly call it out in your real estate listing, when you do that. So, but I just, there's security cameras essentially, and home security is really, really important.
Yeah.
We learned this week on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Season 1, episode 21, The Arsenal of Freedom.
Commander, you'll soon be getting an intruder alert.
What? Got something, sir.
Intruder alert, sir.
It's an old-style starship, sir. Constellation class, heading this way under impulse com.
Number 1, kindly take charge of our guests until we have time to decide what we're going to do with them. Sir? Number 1. I'm out of my way.
The D is heading to the Lorenz cluster to investigate the disappearance of the USS Drake.
Another one. Another lost ship.
When they get there and beam over, there's like just piles of cocaine where people used to be. And, oh, wait, wrong episode. Sorry.
Good one.
Apparently, the Drake was there on its own mystery mission because long-range probes found that all intelligent life on planet Minos disappeared.
So Picard turns to Data for a little history lesson on the planet. And apparently the citizens of Minos gained fame during the Ursal Rope, I don't know.
Cat walks across a keyboard.
Ursal Rope Wars. They were arms merchants. Apparently they manufactured all these sophisticated weapons and LaForge is like, for which side? And, both. Of course, it's the Iran-Contra.
And the camera cuts over to Admiral Jameson.
He's like, I'm sorry.
The captain of the Drake is Paul Rice, an old academy buddy of Riker's. And we get a lot of character exposition about him from this relationship. Riker says he's a risk taker, confident, a little arrogant, but usually right. And his example of this is that on some big final at the Academy, Rice rejected the 3 options given, made up his own, and received the top grade, and now the test has 4 options. So it's kind of the Kirk cheats the Kobayashi Maru sort of guy, so this is the kind of guy we're looking for. Oh, and by the way, we learned that Riker was offered command of the Drake, but he turned it down to be on the D.
And Tasha's like, you gave that up to take this assignment? And he said at the time, I thought it was going to be more advantageous for me.
They go around the horn offering possible reasons for the abrupt disappearance of the people of Minos. War, COVID-19, climate change. Geordi suggests maybe a dissatisfied customer, but Tasha's like, no, any of those would have at least left some survivors.
Not necessarily, but like some sort of mass extinction event that we've had on this planet we've had at least 3 or 4 of them. Well, who knows?
Data gets a phone call coming in, and they put it on screen, and they're greeted by a man in a gray robe.
Thank you for calling Minos,
who welcomes
the
them
Arsenal
to Minos,
of Freedom.
the
Your call
titular
will be
Arsenal
answered
of
in the order
Freedom.
it was received.
And he launches right in on a sales pitch for weapons.
As soon as Picard can break in, he tries to introduce himself, but they soon find out that this is a recording because that guy is not acknowledging them at all. He's got a sales script that he's following.
The salesman invites them to beam down and check out their stocked sales floor filled with weapons and complete weapons systems. This used weapon salesman is played by Vincent Schiavelli. He was an incredible character actor. You have seen him literally in everything.
Everywhere. Anytime there was a creepy character, not necessarily gory, he was the creepy uncle, whatever. That was him.
Riker's itching to beam down, and Tasha suggests a small team at first, just in case whatever killed the people on the planet is still down there.
What happened to all the people?
War? Disease?
A dissatisfied customer.
Riker, Data, and Tasha beam down to classic TOS, paint the soundstage walls blue kind of planet.
Fake jungle rocks and smoke. Jungle rocks and smoke.
Yes.
And the first thing Riker says is spooky.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls back to the bridge. They're going to start searching, and we'll keep a channel open.
Right away, Data's tricorder shows that something is monitoring the call. So they start looking around and find some melted tritanium, which that is apparently beyond Starfleet's ability. And Data finds a huge 60s sci-fi looking ray gun, which
I love that.
Right? Which they think might have been a display model. As they continue, Ensign Sue tells Riker that she's picking up a slight energy buildup nearby. She can't pinpoint the source, but it's east of their position by about 10 meters. Okay, Allie, I have to look for fucking mountains to know where west is half the time. You think these people know the cardinal directions on a planet they've never been to before?
Yeah. Well, east and west and north and south are defined on Earth by our poles. So maybe they're just using that. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, I'm sure they could flip the tricorder open and go, oh, yeah, this is the north, and that's, so yeah, maybe.
But we have 2 new people on the bridge.
We do. Ensign Sue is played by Julia Nixon, who we will see again in Deep Space Nine.
Mm-hmm.
But her interesting note is that she was also up for the role of Tasha Yar and got beat out by Denise Crosby.
Yeah.
She also did some episodes of Babylon 5.
But she was also in, it was either Predator or Rambo or one of those old movies back in the day, because that's where I know her from.
Anyway, Riker's climbing through the bush when suddenly Captain Rice appears, and he's real sketchy. Doesn't seem to be reacting to an old friend the way you would expect. He's like reserved and kind of starts talking about like how many others are with you, and and Riker fucking tells him,
well, but
come on, Bill.
So Riker says, you look a little strange, something going on with you, but then he doesn't get it at the time. And then he kind of gets a call on his cell phone, and they're like, hey, turn off your mic. I gotta tell you something.
Picard's like, Bill, there's something you should know. We all heard that, but there are still no life signs other than the away team, so, you know.
Do with that what you will,
Yeah,
but
FYI.
whoever the fuck you're talking to is not who you think it is. So he's like, okay, understood. So he kind of turns back and starts really quizzing him, and also answering the questions really weirdly.
Yeah, I loved this.
So Rice is asking about his ship, asking him to confirm if it's the Enterprise, and Riker says, no, it's the Lollipop. I knew where this was going.
Yep.
And then that threw Rice for a loop because he'd never heard of that ship. Oh, he's like, yeah, it's a good ship. I'm like, oh, the cheese. Oh, the cheese.
Right?
And then he on and on, back and forth, being super vague and trying to ask him questions that only Rice would know, just to sort of call him out.
Right. Rice doesn't answer any of Riker's questions, so Riker's like, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Rice says, our top speed is warp 3. What's yours? And Riker's like, is? So the Drake isn't destroyed? And Rice slips up a little bit here. He's like, Drake? Who's Drake?
Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
Oh, I should also say Marco Rodriguez plays Captain Rice. He appeared in a lot of shows, but nothing I really recognized him from.
I recognize him from so many
Really?
fucking shows. Yeah. I think it was on NYPD Blue way back in the day. He's been a crook on so many shows.
Searching.
Yeah, let's go off on this rabbit hole.
Yeah. Okay, so Hill Street Blues, Cagney and Lacey. But these are all like onesie-twosie appearances that I wouldn't like remember the character. China Beach, MacGyver. After Star Trek, he did Jake and the Fat Man, Walker, Texas Ranger, Frasier, I didn't like. Sorry, everybody. L.A. Law, ER.
I love Fraser. He was on something as a priest. I'm trying to figure out where he was. He was a priest.
Oh, I think I remember seeing that.
NYPD Blue, Nash Bridges. He was on NYPD Blue. He was a priest. Nash Bridges, Jag, which I loved. Jag.
See, I didn't watch any of this stuff. CSI.
He was on. I think he was on NCIS, but he was on CSI, Cold Case, General Hospital. I mean, he has done everything.
Yeah.
He's also done video game voices for Grand Theft Auto or Uncharted, which both video games I love. Jeez, Fast and the Furious. He was also a priest on that. The Unit, which that was a good series. Desperate Housewives, never watched it. NCIS, Los Angeles. Yeah, he was on so many things. His face is so recognizable.
So this is another episode in favor of my argument that this is the 4th season of the original series, right? We've got paint the soundstage wall planet with fake trees and shit. And now Riker is in the middle of the old logic the computer to death play. So he knows for sure now he's not dealing with Rice. Not with the not the real Rice.
Not the real Rice.
Rice asks what the armament on Riker's ship is, and Riker says 10. And Rice is like, what the fuck, man? 10 what? And Riker's like, 6. And not only that, you haven't used my first name once, Paul. It's because you're not actually Paul. You're a fake.
And sure enough, Paul Rice disappears, and in pops in this tiny little miniature Cylon floating machine.
Do you know what this flying drone was made of? This was a potential question for the Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge, and Becca did not ask it, but she asked me later, and she wished she had because I had no idea.
What it was made of?
Yeah, what they used to make this thing. It's made from something else. It's a product you've seen a million times.
Oh, jeez. Oh, good. This would have been a great question.
I know.
I have no idea.
Okay, so the top thing is sort of egg-shaped, right? And then it has this bar that comes out from the bottom. Do you remember when pantyhose came in eggs?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Oh my God. Are
it's
you
like a
kidding?
legs pantyhose container. Yep.
But did they make it look so really big? Because those things were tiny.
Yeah, well, I think that would have been like superimposed later, right? So they would have been able to like zoom it out and make it look
I was
bigger.
thinking maybe they were just holding it on a string and flying it around, but that makes sense.
Searching.
The miniature of Echo Papa 607 was built by visual effects supervisor Dan Curry using an old legs pantyhose container and a discarded shampoo bottle.
Oh my God.
There you go.
That's amazing.
So this flying drone quickly snares Riker in some sort of energy field. Tasha destroys the drone with her heater, but the energy field doesn't disappear. And Picard asks if Riker's still alive in there, and Data replies, unknown.
No, the name of my ship is the Lollipop.
I have no knowledge of that ship.
It's just been commissioned. It's a good ship.
We get a captain's log that we've got some kind of weapon. They've snagged Commander Riker, and they can't lock on to anybody down on the planet. Riker's still frozen. Data tells Picard that he's in some sort of stasis, but as far as he can tell, he's still alive. And he asks Data, like, what would be the purpose of such an encasement? Well, it's for storage. I don't know where he came up with that, which would suggest that something's coming to collect them. And so Picard decides he wants to beam down to the planet, and Troy is not okay with this.
Picard's like, Geordi, you have the bridge. Dr. Oldflame and I are beaming down. And Troy's like, you, sir? I thought we weren't doing that in new Star Trek. And Picard's like, the one man who would tell me no is stuck in a stasis field, so fuck it. She like files a formal objection to this decision to beam down.
Yeah.
But, you know, I love Geordi in command, so I'll take that. Although I do have notes about this later.
Oh, I do too.
So Picard and Crusher materialize on the planet where Data has determined that the drone is an intelligence-gathering device, creating an image of a person you would trust to try to get information out of you. But if it's found out, it puts the subject in this stasis field for a more detailed interrogation later. Breaking through this field is going to be risky and take some time, and Data dials up some setting on his heater and starts shooting. Like, okay, so once the field breaks, though, wouldn't that heater beam? I don't know.
Maybe. He's got to find the correct frequency in order to disrupt the field.
Here's an important point. Anytime they pick up this energy reading nearby, it's a drone. So once the drone was destroyed, they noticed that the energy reading had disappeared. So up on the D, Worf is picking up energy readings again down by the away team. And sure enough, another drone appears and starts licking up shots.
Picard and Crusher take off running in one direction where Tasha continues to fight, and Data's got his heater busy trying to free Riker.
This is the most comical fall into a hole that
So as they're running along in the jungle, Beverly looks like she trips. Then she tosses her medical bag, and then she like turns around and she does the flailing, and then Picard tries to reach out for her. She falls and pulls him with her. It was good acting. It was great acting though, and it wasn't stunts. That didn't seem to be stunt people.
The stunt people, though, fall down this huge fucking hole.
Oh, yeah.
Way down below. And when Picard tries to help Beverly get up, it's clear she's very, very injured. Meanwhile, Tasha is trying to shoot the drone, but this one is different. It's anticipating and adapting. How Borg-like.
Uh-huh.
So she gets Data to stop trying to free Riker, and together they're able to target and take down this drone.
They crossed the stream, Sarah. They basically used both of their beams, and I was like, oh, no, they're going to cross this. They crossed the streams.
There's something very important I forgot to tell you.
What?
Don't cross the streams. Why? It would be bad.
One more problem. The communicators are down now, so Tasha goes to look for Picard and Crusher while Data continues trying to release Riker.
Back in the big hole, Crusher is somehow buried under a bunch of dirt. And I can only assume that when they fell down, they pulled stuff on top of them because she is literally buried under a bunch of sand.
Yeah, like if you're at the beach and you bury your sibling under sand.
Right.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Picard is checking on Crusher. She's hurt her arm really bad, and he's trying to make her feel better, saying, we'll get you out of here. Geordi will come up with something. They've already determined their communicators don't work either. And he's saying, Geordi will come up with something and he'll beam us out. Don't worry about it. So you just hold on.
He starts doing some basic first aid on her, and it's clear she's like struggling to stay conscious. So we're worried she might have a concussion. We got to try to keep her conscious. On the surface, Data finally gets the right frequency and releases Riker from stasis unharmed. And Tasha says, let's go. The captain and Dr. Crusher can't be far away. And Riker and Data follow like it's no big deal. Surely Riker would have been like, why the hell are they down here?
Right, because he was frozen, but before they got there. And they're headed off in the wrong direction. They're going in the opposite direction of which Picard and Crusher ran.
On the bridge, all 5 away team members' life signs register again, and Geordi orders the transporter room to beam them up. But suddenly, the shields and deflectors come online because there's an object out in space, and now it's firing on them.
Yep, so they've got a bogey as well. They've got a drone, so they can't beam anyone up while their shields are in place, and they're doing a scan to try to figure out where that shot came from, and they don't see anything. They can't find it.
And this thing kind of like appears, disappears, and reappears somewhere else, which makes it like impossible for Worf to get a weapons lock on.
This is when we see the other new person on the bridge. He's in Geordi's place. His name is Solus.
Solus is played by George de la Pena.
I didn't look him up.
He was an accomplished ballet dancer, which included a feature role in the original Los Angeles performance of Cats.
Nice.
But yeah, other than this, he didn't really have a lot of like TV credit. Geordi gets a call from Chief Engineer Logan. So again, there are multiple chief engineers at this point still.
Mm-hmm.
And he's asking if they're going to break orbit.
Red alert, battle stations.
Chief Engineer Logan is played by Vito Ruginis, who was in Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow. What was that?
Do you remember? That was the one where they lost a nuclear warhead or something.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. I recognize him from NCIS Los Angeles.
Okay.
As a friend of one of the main characters. He was Arkady something or other was his name. And he was like, wasn't Russian or Polish or something. But yeah, that's how I recognize him.
Logan's on his way to the bridge, and he's mad as a cut snake because Geordi hasn't taken the D out of danger. But Geordi's trying to hang in there, disable the attacker, and beam up the away team. And Logan makes the case here that Geordi should give him command and even tries to pull rank.
Yeah. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. They did that a lot in TOS whenever Spock had to take command, and it was always McCoy saying, or someone else saying, "You don't deserve to be in command. I outrank you." So they're doing the same thing
Well, and
here.
McCoy would always come up on the bridge and be like, Spock, you got to do something. You can't just whatever. Like, you got to do something.
Exactly. So, yeah, like you said, LaForge's plan was to try to beam to stay there, fight, and try to get the captain whenever they can lower their shields. Logan's not okay with that plan, but put a pin in that because I feel like this, again, like you said, somebody comes up and tells them what they should be doing. And when you're in charge.
Uh-huh. The object comes back for another couple of shots. The shields are weakening, and Logan is up Geordi's ass to leave. But Geordi doesn't back down. Worf is going to try to anticipate the attacker's next move and work out the ideal phaser and photon torpedo firing pattern to hit it. Again, Logan pushes, and finally Geordi's like, I'm not ignoring your rank and experience. I'm counting on it. You need to be in engineering, getting more power to these fucking shields. Go back to work.
Get your ass back to engineering.
God.
Like I told you.
And Logan does leave. Logan goes back to work.
But Troy, in the background, has this look of like grave concern on her face as she's looking at LaForge.
On the planet, Tasha, Data, and Riker are searching for Picard and Crusher when another drone shows up and starts licking shots. But when Tasha and Data return fire this time, the drone has some kind of energy shield around it, so they aren't able to destroy it.
Oh, no.
So much Borg.
It's adapting. Yeah. So now they got to have 3 people cross the streams and shoot it. And that does the trick this time.
And Data has noticed that there's a pattern. These drones appear exactly every 12 minutes. Meanwhile, in the cave, Picard is trying to keep Beverly conscious, and one of the ways he employs here is to make her talk him through some wound dressing triage stuff. Turns out she's still losing blood from another wound in her leg.
She's covered by sand. I still don't understand why we got to dig her out. But so he digs out her leg and finds that she's bleeding, and he tries to get it elevated, and then she gives him some instructions on how to look for plants, how to look for the mushroom.
Which ones are safe to eat and which ones will give you a trip.
So she says, go see those roots over there, go break one off and taste it, but don't swallow it. She wants to see how it tastes and then rub some on his hand to see what color it is. And it's a yellowish, very bitter thing. So she's like, bring it over here and smear it on me. Basically spread as much as you can on the wound. So he's taking the root and pounding it up and to smear it on.
He's pounding his root.
Oh
my. And then he's going to put it on her. What?
Well, what else do you do in a deep, dark hole?
Oh, God. She tells him to elevate her legs and try to keep her warm. There you go. He tells her to stay awake while he goes to look for a way out. Unfortunately, there's no blankets down here, so he can't, cover her up and keep her warm.
Put my legs up. Oh, my. This is so bad. You know that this originally was written where Picard was the one that got hurt.
Uh-huh.
And she was not. She was the one trying to save him. And they were supposed to have this, moment of romance.
Mm-hmm. On the D, they take their shot and miss, and the enemy pummels them some more. Shields are failing, and now Geordi decides it's time to get out of here. So he calls Logan to the bridge.
The best thing, Mr. Logan, is for this discussion to end and for you to return to your duties. Now, I'm in charge until relieved by Commander Riker or Captain Picard. Now, Mr. Logan.
Logan arrives as Geordi is explaining to Worf that we're getting the hell out of here. And now Logan's all, what? You're going to leave them on the planet? Make up your fucking mind.
Exactly. That's what he wanted them to leave earlier. And he was like, "You're trying to save them and you're going to kill us." And now he's like, "Oh, wait, you're leaving?" So it doesn't matter what Geordi did. It was going to be wrong because it wasn't him doing it.
Yep.
And I swear, when Geordi called him from engineering, I literally thought Geordi was going to give up command. I thought, because Troy was looking on with such concern and he didn't seem super confident in the decisions he was making. And then I just thought, oh, he's going to just give it up. But that was my first thought.
Geordi's plan now is to get far enough away to separate the ship, put Logan in charge of the saucer section, and send him to Starbase 103 while he takes the star drive section back to save the away team. And I love this whole scene. We're supposed to be on Team Geordi here, and I absolutely was.
Mm-hmm.
So when he says, "Mr. Logan, you are going to take command," and pauses,
yeah,
and Logan gets this smug look on his face like, "That's what I thought, bitch."
Mm-hmm.
And then Geordi goes, "Command of the saucer section." And you just see Logan completely deflate. That was great.
Perfect. It was perfect.
Geordi sends Worf, Solus, and Sue to the battle bridge, and he steps into the ready room for some contemplative looking out the window. When Troy comes in, and she's like, "I just wanted to do a little therapy before you go into battle." And Geordi's like, "Yeah, look, I'm kind of freaking out here." And Troy says, "Yeah, no shit, you're under some serious pressure." And Geordi thinks that this talk is about him, like he can't handle this or something. But she reassures him, like, "No, you should be really proud of the way you're handling this command. Like, you're doing great.
But
It's everybody else you need to worry about."
Yeah, she brings up Solace and Sue, saying, they're new, they don't have as much experience, and they're really young. But he's like, "Yeah, but they're good officers." Well, she's like, "They need to hear that from you." Kind of like Picard kind of took you under his wing and instilled confidence in you. You need to do the same for these kids.
I love that.
Yeah.
So Geordi goes to the battle bridge and orders separation. And the answer to this week's Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge is absolutely the reused footage of the separation.
God damn it. I should have seen it. I should have, duh.
And she gave it away. That's the thing. Like, I wouldn't have gotten this had she not. I forgot that they pulled this maneuver.
I did too. And what I need to do is watch it with the intention of, what would Becca ask me about this?
Back in the cavern, Picard hasn't been able to find an exit, and Beverly is still struggling to stay awake. So Picard's like, "Tell me some old stories from your childhood. Like, how did you know that root was medicinal?" And we learn that her grandmother helped colonize Arvada 3, which apparently ended in tragedy. That sounded like a really bad story that we didn't get.
Yeah.
But her grandmother survived. After they ran out of medical supplies, she turned into a naturopath of sorts, studying roots and herbs, and taught this to Beverly.
She's a witch. She's called double toil and trouble. No. Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's pretty cool to know about Crusher.
Yeah, her grandma had shrunken heads. As they're talking, Picard finds something glowing behind some vines, and when he wipes the dirt away, he discovers it's a view screen to some computer system.
So what the fuck does he do? He presses a fucking button.
Right?
No, have we not learned anything? But he does. He presses a button. He somehow knows it's some sort of tracking device.
Well, there's on the monitor, there's and we have to talk about the 1980. Are we still in 89 at this point?
No, 87.
Oh,
87,
7.
88.
I don't know why I said 89. Yeah, this was
Searching.
Yeah, early 88. So we have to talk about some of these visual effects in this episode and the next, I think, because oh my God. So this one is these 3 little arrows moving around on a screen. And so he's like, okay, that must be the rest of the away team. And then there's also this little triangle shape that's whizzing around them that we think is probably the drone.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the cheesiest graphics. I'm sure it was well advanced for the time, but I was like, my God, I played video games in this era that were higher quality visuals than that.
suddenly, as he's looking at those little 3 dots, they get a swoosh, and then suddenly the salesman is there. And he's like, "It's beautiful, isn't it? It's the centerpiece of the whole unit doing his sales stuff." And then that's when he starts talking about that Echo Papa 607.
We learn here that the inhabitants of Minos were destroyed by their own creation, a killing machine so perfect it's invincible. So this whole time, this has all been a demonstration of the Echo Papa 607, a very deadly demonstration. And the computer makes some computer sounds, and the salesman explains that, oh, this sound indicates that the system has analyzed its last attack and adapted for the next one. And Picard's like, shut it off! And the sales guy's like, why the hell would I do that? You need to see how it works, right? Like, we need to demonstrate its abilities. Data, Riker, and Tasha have found the hole.
Oh my God. I have Data, Riker, and Tasha have located the hole. That is what I wrote. That is exactly what I wrote.
It's easy to find the hole. The clit's harder to find.
It's just a wide gaping hole. You can't miss it.
God.
And of course, they're looking over the hole and they're like trying to figure out, clearing some stuff away and trying to figure out how they're going to get to him. But Tasha is like, we got 2 minutes before those fuckers show up again.
So Riker yells down into the hole, and they exchange some quick info, but it's way too far for them to jump down there. And Data's like, I can do it, I'll jump. And Riker's like, Data, no way, that's over 10 meters. And Data says, 11.75, sir. Watch this.
Tasha's like, I know you're sturdy.
Yes, she does.
But you're not indestructible. And it's like 40, almost 40 feet. So think of jumping down that. I mean, you might be all right. A human might be all right.
I don't know. You might shatter your legs.
True.
But Data can do it, and he just jumps easily down there. And Riker and Tasha try to find cover because the next drone is coming, and they probably won't survive this one.
Why, the Echo Papa 607, our proudest achievement. The ultimate in weapons system technology.
Half of the D has returned to the planet to try Geordi's long shot option, drop the shields, locate the away team, and beam them up, and they may only have a few seconds to pull this trick off. So he puts his new leadership lesson to use and tells them that shit's gonna go sideways fast, but you're trained, capable, and you've earned the right to sit in those chairs.
And gosh darn it, people like you.
It's a nice little confidence boost.
It is.
I wish
really
we had gotten a shot of Sue and Solus kind of like looking at each other like, yeah, we got this.
Yeah, we got this.
Yeah.
Back on the planet, Picard is down there talking to the salesman and he hears the sound again. That means it's about to be on again with the drones. Picard says, assign it a neutral target, target a tree. But Data's like, no, the target has to be specific. And he's not going to target his own power source either. So the salesman's like, look, watch. This is the fourth and final one. This is going to be fun. But back on the planet's surface, Tasha and Riker are kind of arguing about what to do. They're like, we should split up. No, because they would still get us, but it'll just take a little longer. Well, Tasha's like, well, it might allow one of us to get out of range. And Riker's like, out of range? She's like, forget it. Never mind. Just run, because it starts shooting right then.
Back down in the control room, Picard's like, shut the damn thing off. And the salesman is like, no, you haven't seen everything yet. Like, it can do more. Like, keep watching. And the solution reveals itself when Picard says, no, we've seen enough, thank you. And the salesman is like, oh, does that mean you're ready to purchase? Yeah, you got yourself a sale, mister. End of demonstration. The salesman disappears. The drone disappears. Communications restored. Everything goes back to normal.
Well, I love it that it was actually Crusher's idea, because Crusher was like, why don't you just turn it off? It's a machine, ain't it? And they're like, well, can we do that?
Picard calls up Geordi like, great news. Everything's fine. We solved the mystery. But Geordi's still getting his ass kicked up there. Wouldn't this bogey have also disappeared too?
I would think so. Or it could be just a normal defense mechanism for the planet. Who knows? I don't know. You got a good point, though. Why would the defense mechanism, why would you want to shoot everybody that is a potential buyer?
Right.
So I don't know.
I feel like
Good
that
point.
was part of the demonstration. And when Picard says, nope, we'll buy it, that should have turned off too.
Agreed.
New plan. They're going to drive the ship into the atmosphere, hoping the attacker will follow and they'll be able to detect it that way. And after a little tension building, this works and they're able to destroy it. Shields down, beam up the away team, and when Picard and Riker arrive on the battle bridge, Geordi tries to give command back, but Picard's like, Mr. LaForge, when I left this ship, it was in one piece. I would appreciate your returning it in the same condition. And Riker's like, quite right, Captain. Sick Bay reports Dr. Crusher's going to be fine, and off we go to the next adventure.
Boy, I'm sure glad that's over with.
I'll be glad to be relieved of this cargo.
Me too.
It is done, and perhaps just as well.
Yeah, but you know, I learned something today.
I sincerely hope that this is the last time that I find myself here.
You just don't get it, do you, Jean-Luc? You see, of all the species, yours cannot abide stagnation. Change is at the heart of what you are. That is the exploration that awaits you. Not mapping stars and studying nebula, but charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
I love the Geordi character development in this episode.
Yep.
I love it when they put him in command. I love that this was an episode where he got to grow as a leader. So there's a big theme here of not just trusting your team to perform, but making sure they know you have that confidence in them.
Yep.
But I also feel like they started with that. And then we're like, well, if we're going to develop Geordi as a leader, we got to get the captain off the ship and out of the way. So let's write this crazy ass scenario where everyone else is going to be off the ship in order to facilitate Geordi's learning this week. Like, there's no fucking way Picard should have beamed down there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, why didn't Worf go? Worf and the doctor.
Yep. But it also makes sense that you pointed out earlier that the writers intended this to be like another spark in the Picard Crusher relationship.
Yeah.
So having them go off the ship together was supposed to be about that. And then it really didn't kind of go that direction.
Yeah. And once again, we've got one of these episodes where like the technologically advanced society somehow annihilates itself. And it's a thing, you know?
Yeah. As far as like humanist buzzword themes, I didn't really have a lot.
Not really. I liked, like, even though I didn't like the character, the engineer Logan, I think it was important for Geordi to be faced with that type of conflict.
Yes.
Because there's always, when you're in charge, there's always going to be someone looking at you saying you don't deserve to be here, or well, I'm better at this than you.
Yep.
We see that all the time with leaders.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We can handle all the pleasantries later. Now, let's get down to business.
I am willing to pay handsomely for you.
I think you've had a little too much to drink.
Now, what do you know about my money?
Your money?
The money he stole!
You stole his money?
Those vouchers I gave you were every bit as good as Latinum.
You can spend Latinum almost anywhere. Those vouchers are only good at your bar.
We want to thank everyone who supports the show on Patreon. We especially want to thank our founding admirals. A special thanks to Russell, Allie, Peter, Sarah, Sherry, and Bruce. Thank you, patrons.
Thanks, guys.
Captain, Starfleet Academy is requesting an update on our estimated arrival.
Finalists, please take your seats.
I must admit you have a very fast mind.
Once I realized it was a trick question, there was only one answer.
Although only one student will be chosen for the Academy, any of you could easily qualify. Candidates, good luck.
You got called to the superintendent's office. It's a story I'd like to hear.
Beck is back now for the answer to this week's Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge. For the Arsenal of Freedom, remind us the question.
What stock footage was used in this episode?
This is the one you gave away. This was the separation sequence, the saucer separation.
It was. But where was it originally used, Sarah?
The pilot.
The first episode.
Yeah. Encounter at Farpoint.
Okay, fine. I'll give it to you.
Affirmative.
But did you think that was going to trip us up?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't. I just annoyed with you. That's
Okay,
all.
fine. Well, hey, don't give answers away then. Next time on Humanist Trek, we'll be reviewing Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 22, Symbiosis. The Enterprise is caught in the middle when two alien races wage a bitter battle over cargo, which one of them needs for survival. Allie, what do you remember about this episode?
Not a whole lot. I did start watching it and then didn't finish it, and I was just thinking, so I didn't know the whole premise, but I just remember thinking stoner kids.
Yeah, maybe if I saw the thumbnail for the episode, that would help me remember, but I don't know. And hopefully the answer doesn't give away the fact that we have already watched this episode, in which case I'm going to leave all of this in.
Jesus Christ.
Becca, what's our question for Symbiosis?
This episode shows the only conversation to ever happen in the series between which two regular cast members?
I think it's got to be Tasha and Wesley.
I agree. Circle gets the square. Oh, we'll find out next week. If you want to play along, you know how to do that. Head out to your social media, share this episode, use the hashtag Starfleet Challenge. We'll pick out a winner. Try to be quick on it, though, too, because and unfortunately, those of you who are playing along and you don't hear your answer on the episode is generally because we record like a couple at a time, and so the production schedule makes it impossible for us to edit that in. But I'm going to try to get better at that. But anyway, next time on Humanist Trek, we will talk about Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 22, Symbiosis.
Oh, shit. Glory to your fucking house, dude. Glory to your house!
Make it so, number one.
Humanist Trek is available wherever you replicate your podcast. Follow us on all the social medias at Humanist Trek. Become a patron at patreon.com/humanisttrek. Open hailing frequencies to podcast@humanisttrek.com and visit our website, humanisttrek.com. Humanist Trek is a production of Sarah Austin Media.